thought in the email I thought maybe you were talking about during the cataloging session, but I'm happy to pull it up right now.
Let me think about that. I like you. I think you should show up.
Show it off right now, do you think?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. Okay.
Adam has developed some AI tools for translating.
Oh,
And
no AI. No
oh,
AI. It's
okay,
offline and yeah.
okay. And he wants to show us a little bit about how it works. Okay, great.
Yeah, let me pull this up here. Okay, so it's a desktop. Um, yeah, so this is a desktop app. Can you guys you see
Yep.
this here?
See it.
Okay. Yeah, so Geshe was saying it's AI, and that was actually the thing that I was trying to avoid wholly whenever I began this project. So many of the tools here are things that I've kind of wanted for the past 15 years. And some of them are things I've been working on in the background for a long, long time. But they're all things that over the years of trying to grow into a translator, these are all things that along the way I kind of felt like would be helpful. And a lot of these things are also tools that Gashla has mentioned he would like. So I figured what we can do is we could just go through this here, and I'll load a. So and also it's totally not ready to go. I'd say in a couple weeks it'll probably be a lot more ready for deployment. But okay, so what we'll do is we're going to go to the library here, right? We've got all these different panes with all these different functions here. So I tried to lay it out in the way that a translator would approach working with a text. So we've got these different subtabs in here, and I've pre-selected this guy down here, which is Gyaltsib J's Alam Selche. So what we'll do is we'll pick it out here. We'll open it up. Okay. And you'll notice how it's loaded here in this document area. So this is what we would normally see if we brought it straight into a Word document. Now, here on the right, you can see that there's shading and highlighting. So I tried to isolate the different phrases and clauses that one could work with here. And the strict kind of the thing that I was trying to most strictly adhere to was that we weren't going to allow anything into this application that would be outside of something that Geshe Michael hadn't already translated or approved. So if Geshe Michael doesn't or hasn't translated one of these phrases, it will be noted down here in the bottom, right? So we've got these different information panes here. You can see, right? So if we're going to go through, let's look at like just Gelpo, right? So every time I click one of these highlighted sections, this is essentially what this is denoting is that, well, how should I put this? So I went to the Great Dictionary and I got out all the phrases from the Great Dictionary. I got out Lokesh Chandra's dictionary, and I use those as kind of a spine for the phrases that I would bring into the application here. So those kind of set the tone for what is going to be highlighted and what isn't. If you see, we have do sum, right? If I click just here, do you have something to say, Eva? Come say hello. Come here. So do sum, right? You can see that this is a small phrase, right? Down here in the bottom. And there's a lot of functionality here. So I don't want to rush, but I don't want to take all of our time for our classes. But there really is a lot to point out here. So I have a phrase.
Take your time, Adam.
Okay, cool. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'll try to be a little bit more relaxed with it. So we have, like, let's just say de sum right here. Okay. If we click once, it'll give us de, right? But if we want the whole phrase, we just simply click again, right? Excuse me. right? So then down here, it'll give us whether or not Geshe Michael, that's what this HGM stands for here, is Geshe Michael. So that's in our Geshe Michael glossary. So he has attested that this is an acceptable translation of this term. Right? We'll have also down here, you can see the Sanskrit that's given. These are, I think I might reduce some of these down and just go with the Lokesh Chandra equivalents. But this is all preliminary. I was basically just setting up the logic and the framework and getting all of the tools accessible and ready. And then what I'm going to do is make sure that I go back and work to get everything properly formatted and actually usable, right? So here are the Sanskrit references. Here are the different ways that Geshe Michael has translated this phrase, right? The past or present or future, all these three times, past, present, and future, or three times, right? For Dusun. So we're going to go down here and look at the corpus. And the corpus is referring to the totality of everything that Geshe Michael has translated into English. So I'm trying to amass all of those translations and bring those into a folder that I can then parse out and separate into phrases and words that Geshe Michael has provided English equivalents for. Right here, well, let's say this stands TC. Okay, now I'm going to have to create a version of this that is for open teachings and then probably one for secret teachings as well. But this TC stands for Tantric Course 7. So you can find the courses that Geshe Michael treated these different phrases in. And I've been putting all the mixed nuts courses in there. All of the ACI courses are in there. Illumination is in there. So I also need help if anybody would mind helping tracking down things that Geshe Michael has provided English translations for, because I'd like to start essentially an archive so that we have everything in a single folder for anybody to use. So down here, because I honestly, I'm having a hard time finding everything. So all of these things are, as you can see, all of these things are also selectable too, right? So do you see if I check the phonetics here, like let's say go back into tse, and you see phonetics here, well, the pronunciation is tse, right? So Geshe Michael set out, and I think it was ACIP release 4, a system for ACIP pronunciation. And I use those rules to kind of set out how we, how to pronounce these things, right? So you see Namni, right? And these are all provided in each one of the for each one of the terms here. So 4 terms where there is no holy, like for sorry, HJM stands for well, Geshe Michael. And 4 terms where we don't have an equivalent, that's been noted. So one of the things that you'll see here, just to make a quick aside, if you follow the cursor up here to this community tab, this will take you here. And what we're going to allow people to do as they use this tool is to propose translations for certain terms, right? So if we don't have a Geshe Michael approved translation for something, we're going to start building a list of things that other translators would propose that we add. Now, once I started working with this for a while now, I've had all these ideas in my head. So forgive me if it sounds like I'm throwing a lot at you here, but if you come in here to the things that we can propose, right? So we're going to make a proposal about maybe markings or pronunciations, because there are pronunciation kind kind of exceptions as well, where we would have, instead of kabdir, we would have kamdir, right? So we want to make note of all of these things as we progress into the future and we're translating these texts. Anytime we come along something that may need to be shown as an exception, we want to make that here and bring that into our new database and translation tool. So you can see here, if we go into kind, so we have honorific terms. And I know as you guys have been studying with Geshe Michael, we've seen that there are, like, for instance, to meet, right? The honorific term of to meet would be anybody?
Gel.
Gel,
Jella.
right? Yeah, right. So that's where we're going to start making these notes. All of the obvious ones I have already put into the register. So we have an honorific. We also have high honorific terms as well, which can only be used for certain very, very high lamas. And we have terms for referring to ourselves or groups of other people with us.
Okay.
Yeah, so pronunciation exceptions, right? Like I was saying, kamdir, the prenasal actually collapses into an M, right?
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that as we're as this, I'm hoping that this becomes the tool that I use as I translate. So I would like to make note of all of these things moving into the future. So we have abbreviations, right? Or contractions, right? So Sherchin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we would start to note and make note of all of these abbreviations as well. And hopefully they will end up in a list, maybe hundreds, if not thousands long. And we have renderings for words, right? Notes about different passages as well. Possible, and I think long term, I'm hoping to have dictionary entries for each one of our terms as well, so that we can have a proper. I think it's going to be great to have words work with the Great Dictionary eventually here to bring over here, so that we can use the Great Dictionary's definitions in our program here in our application. So I wanted to make note, just because as we're looking here, as there's no Geshe Michael equivalent, we can come here into the community tab to offer possible translations, right? And then those would eventually go to Geshe Michael if he chooses to use this application. Then he can approve those and I can see them, and then I can bring them into the dictionary. With all of our copious amounts of free time, I think that's probably one of the things we'll do. So this here is the overlay pane, right? You have the library. So here at the top, you can see that we can install the Kongir, Tengir, and Sungbooms, but we go directly to the ALL library to get those. Okay. So what I did is I got each one of the zip files directly from that web page, from John Brady's web page, and you can see that you can install those here as a zip file. You don't even have to unzip them. You just upload the .zip and it brings everything right in. Years ago, probably 10 years ago or so, if not longer, I remember Geshe Michael saying that there was an old program that he used to use in DOS that had a very wonderful dual pane tree in a file browser. There's something called a tree view, right? And so what we're going to do, and like I said, this is kind of a rudimentary, I still have a lot of work to do with this, but one of the things I hope to do is to bring a subject view in as well, right? So we have the Sungboom, we have it all kind of broken down by subject here. And then remember the text we're working with was Tarlam Selje, right? So we filed all the way down here, right? Sema, right? Accurate perception. Okay, and we came down to Sema Namdrel, right? And then we're looking for Galtub J's commentary on Sema Namdrel. And so that's what we have here. And this is all reflected in our file browser. So if you want to open this up in the main overlay window here, you just double click it and it brings it back over. Something you won't, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see, but whenever, if you choose to download and use this, you will see that I have a help menu, and within the help menu, I've organized certain suggested workflows that if you're a translator and if you want to work with a new text, exactly how you would go about doing it in a logical progression. That way, it doesn't feel overwhelming when you first open it up, and you can come in and use some tutorials and kind of get familiar with the tool and everything. Um, Now, this is where it gets really, really cool because some of the spell checkers that I Tibetan is it's we can be fairly sure whenever something has been spelled incorrectly or if one of our input operators um, inadvertently made a mistake here. So one of the things I implemented here was something to show spelling doubts. Okay. Now I have to go in and make the exceptions for the folio numbers. But for instance, you can see if we go here to see, right?
Nice.
And then let's come down and check it out, right? So you can see that there's actually, right? We've already made note there. Yeah. So these are all going to be composed and pulled into essentially a list of possible spelling errors that are in
Mhm.
the text. Okay, and then we'll have a list of those in a bank to the side that either we can go through and work with before we start the text, or as we come up to it, which is probably better because we'll need to have context for each section to determine whether or not it's an incorrect spelling or correct spelling. So, anyways, this is one of the things that a while ago I could just see like there are certain rules that determine how letters can fit together, and if there's something that falls outside of those exceptions, we know that it's a possible spelling error or an input error. And this should flag all of them for us. But I have to make notes of the Sanskrit exceptions that are going to pop up, as well as the folio numbers and other kind of anomalies down here. One of the things you can do, though, is once we have the scans for any particular um, text that we're working with, we can follow along in the scans at the folio numbers, all within the same application. So, excuse excuse me.
Too many frijoles.
um, so what we're going to see here, though, is that or something that I felt is a little cumbersome as I've been translating is moving from program to program or application to application to try to find a particular section that I'm working with in a scan, right? Like if I want to double check to see if the spelling error is valid, or excuse me, if it is a true spelling error, or the possible correct spellings, then I want to go back to the original woodblock to check it. And it can get cumbersome to do so as you're kind of going through different file. You're using Mac OS and you're using different photo viewers. Maybe you're using a PDF viewer. But we want to all do that in a single application, right? Much less cumbersome, and it saves a lot of time, right? And that's what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to save Geshe Michael time. And I feel like the more that I can kind of take seconds off of the plate. How to say this? In mountaineering, we say grams become ounces and ounces become pounds, right? So seconds, right, matter, especially when you have somebody who's doing extremely important work that only one person can do. So we're going to save minutes and hopefully hours for all of our workflows as we move forward. Um, but when we have the scans here, we'll be able to follow along with those in this window pane. Now, I thought so. I don't know if you. I guess it'd be. 2000, 2020. Yeah, I guess it was 2020. Or 2000, maybe 2022. So maybe either 4 or 6 years ago, Geshe Michael showed us how to format a text and to prepare it for translation. So when we take an ACIP file and we want to get it prepared to work with as a translator, there's a given set of rules that he was saying he uses in order to format a text and to prepare it for translation. So I automated all those, right? And all we have to do is essentially bring the text here into this pane, into the overlay pane, and then we simply say prepare for translation. And we save that as a different file, and then we reopen it. And I'm just trying to save time here. So I won't do everything because this is just the first window. um, uh, so you can see down here, right? We can choose to display everything as either script, right?
Nice.
Yeah. Or we can, and we also have different fonts as well to use. And, or we can use Wiley, which we sneer at, uh, and we're going to stay with ACIP. So, anyways, all of these things down here are toggles or ways that we can choose to look at our different terms and our phrases and clauses. Um, anyways, you can see down here, we've got, I think I had 105,000 unique entries that I'd amassed, individual entries. This tells us that we have 108, well, 1,884 spelling flags. But once again, most of those are just 99% of those are just folio markers and other things that probably aren't actual errors. But essentially, we have a nice little, just a good readout here, right, of anything that we want. So if you want to do so directly from this window pane here, we can choose to add any term that we're working with to a, a regular glossary for the text that we're working with.
Mm.
And once again, come in here, right? So we can send things, we can import from a zip file, which is what you're going to get from the Asian Legacy Library's website. We can import individual materials that we're working with outside of those materials. So maybe there's something in the uncatalogued data. Maybe there's something, from the unsplit volumes data that we haven't yet added. And for in-house use, you could bring those things into this program, right? We can choose to use different views. I'm going to default to this one, and this is how I have the application going because Geshe Michael has said that he kind of likes tree view, and I understand why. So yeah, we can also choose to send different text to OCR programs. And that OCR capability I've integrated here in the application. So we don't have to go anywhere else. I'm using BDRC's open source analyzers here within, and we can OCR wood blocks here within this application as well. Certain older text, as I've over the past 15 years that I've been working with texts, I've noticed that there are different fonts that are out of date. So if you get a text from online and it's using a certain font and it's no longer being serviced by development teams, I have made the effort to collect all of those individual fonts so that we can repair the text. And okay, anyway, so we can go in here and we can find a given, like if here's a search menu as well. So we can come in and we could search an individual, let's say, an ACIP number right here, and it would automatically find it for us. Okay, so that's just the read pane. Okay, so that's just the first pane. Translate. Okay, so let's say we want to open a manuscript, and I'm going to come in here and let's say Here, let's go all the way back down. Sorry, give me 1 second. Oh, hold on. We'll just do this. I'll demonstrate real quick what we can do here. So we'll come in here, we'll just Command A everything, and we're going to bring it into the translate pane here. So this was Tarlam Selche, right? And you'll see if we wanted to, like, let's just say Gone, right? We're going to look at Gone here in the side panel. And what this will do is this tells us in all the different texts that Geshe Michael has translated, it'll give us context for each one of those terms, right? So if I come over here in the manuscript area of the translate pane, this will tell us, like this was from ACI course 1, right? Now I have to go back in here. Like I said, there's still a lot of tweaking I want to do. So I want to have the terms highlighted. So when I get finished with this, you'll see Gone here highlighted just in the same way that we do in Gopher, right? So the Gopher feed will essentially, or this feed here in the corpus will output in the same way that the Gopher feed does. But for translators, I think it's it's pretty helpful to see how these things appear in context, right? So we have different draft areas, right? So let's say we're going to paste here. Let's do this again. Come back into our overlay and I'm going to put all this in here. Okay. So what this is going to do is this is going to break the I normally don't think we as translators would be working with entire texts at one time, but we'd be working with individual sections, right? So what this does is this breaks down and parses each one of the sections into clauses. Now, when you highlight one of the clauses here, you can see that you've got, we can have a feed here and we can go in and tweak this, okay? So now, this is where you can begin to go through and work on your English draft here. Okay. And then what I have is a check terminology function that will go through and compare your English translation to Geshe Michael's. And I thought that that would be helpful as somebody maybe looking to train as a translator. You don't want to see exactly how it's done, but maybe you want to run some drills with yourself. And this would give you the opportunity to practice translating and then check the terminology and then have Geshe Michael essentially check your translation. um, okay. Now, this is up here. Now, once again, this is still buggy, but I think you'll see the idea here. We have saches, right? Or sapches. Yeah. Okay. So whenever we bring a text in here, and like I said, I still have to go in here and mess around with it. But because it's just not working correctly. But I think you get the idea. So this should be able to render an outline for any text that we're working with so that we can have a good idea of where we are. And eventually I'm going to have this clickable so that this would take us back to the corresponding area in the text. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but verse and reading can be a little difficult. And I thought it would be interesting to maybe have a tool that would help us analyze how to read verse. Anyways, okay, so here's where we start to get some really cool stuff as translators. How many times have we seen the same quotation in different books, right? And can we start to make a list of those things? Can we have a given list of notable works that are often quoted and cited? And when I started thinking about that, that made me realize that we have a bunch of bibliography entries and a bunch of footnote entries. And I think in 2022, we had over 1,000, at least over 1,000 footnotes. So as translators, Geshe Michael said we shouldn't redo work that we've already done as a group. So this will essentially give us the ability to search for a footnote and to apply it to our text as we're working with that. And this will also have the bibliography entry and be able to apply the bibliography entry to the end of our text as well automatically. This will also format our bibliography entries and our footnotes as well. To Geshe Michael's standards and to the style sheet. So we don't have to worry about footnotes and bibliography entries anymore, really. Okay, now here's our review stuff. Okay, these are things that we can use to check our own translation. Once again, as compared to Geshe Michael's previous translations. I'm going to keep trying to move along here because there is still a few things to cover. Hypertext, and if people still want to help out with hypertexting, this would allow them to do it. And this would put everything into a proposed kind of translation list. So people can still hypertext, and we as translators or Geshe Michael in the long run can approve or disapprove of those, and we can bring those in to our approved translations. But once again, the single most important thing when I was making this was not to use AI whatsoever. This needs to be 100% offline. We need to be able to use it on the airplanes or in the airports or wherever we'd like to, right? So we don't want to be reliant on API. We don't want to be reliant on AI. And we want to only trust Geshe Michael's translations moving forward. Research. So we took in all of Gopher, and all of the Gopher search algorithm is in here. 100%. Let's say here. It's not formatted in the same way, though. And I am working on porting the Gopher output to this search program as well. But once again, the idea here is that we shouldn't be reliant on different applications to get our work done. This should be a tool that has everything that we need in a single application so that it's right at our fingertips and we don't have to go moving about our computer. Yes, ma'am? Oh, nothing. Okay. Okay. Oh, wait, Dad, what?
Can I play
Can you play what?
Think Raw? Like get it.
We should give it a minute.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I sure will. Okay. Yeah. So you can go in here, you can add your folders right from your own computer, and we can go through and search those. Like I said, all of the Gopher functionality is here, and it's in our ALL translation tool. But this is once again to give a shout out to Ted Lemon, because it's search algorithms not easy things to pare down and to get to work efficiently. So he did all the legwork there, and I have to give note to that.
And Aaron Graham.
And well, yeah, totally. And Aaron as well. Well, Aaron's, here, I'll show you something. So just since you brought up Aaron, when gosh, this must have been 2012, maybe. I sat down with Aaron for a while, and he showed me all the things that he was doing and working on. And one of the things that he showed me was something called ACE. And it was his attempt to have a cursor-driven follow along with woodblocks. So should we or can we bring in an ACIP file, and then as we point at the text in the ACIP file, will that bring us directly to where we want to go in the woodblock, right? So speaking of Aaron Cram, I took his open source folders from GitHub and used those here as well. And as you can see, I had to give thanks to Aaron because he is absolutely brilliant as well. Yeah, I was quite intimidated talking to him when I was first starting out as a practitioner. And anyways, so well, here, well, look, let's open up a scan. We'll come in, let's open up. I got Namdrel here. Let's go to the title page.
Mm,
All right, so we bring that right in, right?
yep.
And now, once again, a couple weeks, maybe a month, I don't know, but there's still some things to work out, and it's going to take a little bit of time, but hopefully soon enough, we're going to have fully functioning I'll have everything here working. I basically just wanted to have a proof of concept for a lot of these things and the idea, so that maybe I could hopefully have Holy Geshe Michael's blessing to keep working on this.
Mhm.
And so let's say we're going to detect lines. And do you see this little blue box here? Right? And we also have a zoom. Sorry. Let's get this open. So we have a zoom tool here. Okay, do you see the blue line here? It goes around. It's very faint. I'll come in a little bit tighter, and it's very faint, and I can control that. I'll make it a little thicker, and also probably format it a little differently as well. But eventually what's going to happen is we should be able to have or paste in our transliteration from our text. And then as we highlight that, it will display it here for us. Let's see. Okay, scans. All right, so let's open up another image. Let's open up that same one. So here was the OCR stuff that I got from BDRC. Come back into our scans and let's just go ahead and do the title page again. Right. Let's put this here. Let's run the OCR. Oh, okay. Sorry. Just give it a second. Okay, there we are. So you can see, right? Just down here, we have everything output. Okay. Now, we don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot here, right? When it comes to our input operators. So I think the aim is not necessarily for this to take the jobs away from our input operators, obviously. But I could see how this could be helpful for working with text that maybe we haven't input yet, or a whole host of different ways. It took a while to get the Lucene analyzers working here, though, but they are, and everything I can reformat it. So if you want to have, excuse me, as I'm going through this, I'd also like to ask anybody out there that if you have ideas, if you have feedback as you're using it, send them over, because I think eventually this should, I hope that this revolutionizes our ability to work as a team, and for us to really kind of produce high quality output moving forward. And okay, last thing. Let's go here. We're going to go back and let's get, just go grab a random, let's say one line. Sorry, give me 1 second. You pick a good one. So one of the things we should be able to do, though, is I've noticed sometimes as we're working with texts, Geshe Michael will have to go back and either take out line breaks and reposition text so that it's readable, right? That's what this prepare for translations tool here does. So it'll take out all the extraneous line breaks, and it should put things into, it should group things properly. So that then you could see how I was having trouble getting some text that didn't go across lines and go across line breaks. But what we do is we just prepare for the translation, and then we reopen that text, and then that should, obviously give us a text that's more readily available to work with. So we're gonna come in here to learn, and let's paste some Tibetan in here and read. So load it up, right? And we can start to check things here that'll give us an idea for how we can work with them, right? All these things are fully functional. And so not to take too much time, I guess eventually you'll be able to play around this yourself. But this will give us a very cool breakdown about how to read these clauses, but also how they work together, how they fit together. And I gave and used as a source Joe Wilson's book on grammar, and what he was calling the science of dots, the science of the dots, to see how these individual particles fit together and how do they relate to one another. And as I'm still trying to learn how to be a translator, I'm finding that more often than not, it's just about learning which way to read the words and how do they kind of talk to each other, the individual phrases and clauses. So what this will do is this will give us an ability to look at how you see this reading order toggle here, right? And then this will also give us the particle roles, right? And whether or not we want the ACIP or the Unicode displayed, but also how do we chunk it up?
Chunk it.
You see? Right? Because mostly it's how do these phrases, how do the particles fit together with the words, and how do the words become phrases, and how do the phrases become clauses, and then how do those clauses fit together to make a complex sentence or a paragraph, right? And so what I was hoping for this was that this would stand to be, this is something that I wish I had 15 years ago. That's how I know that it's going to be usable and that people, that it's going, I think this is going to be really helpful to people as you learn to translate for yourselves as well. So this application isn't just meant for translators. It's meant for people of all abilities. Even if you just want to start out and you want to work with the Heart Sutra, you want to work with the three principal paths, bring those in, and you should be able to work with some very kind of rudimentary text. Or you can go to some of the hardest material available, which is what we were looking at here with Tarlam Selche, right? So Tarlam Selche is the text that the monks work with in the winter debates, and oftentimes they say it's so dense that you don't cover more than 4 pages, 6 pages over like a month or 6 weeks, I think. So you can see this is a tool for translators. It's a tool for researchers and academics and scholars. It's a tool for people at university, but it's also a tool for everybody here and anybody. Oh, it's not on here yet. I recompiled everything. Last thing. I recompiled everything, so it's not actually in this application, but I've also accumulated and done a lot of development with Sanskrit as well. So we have Sanskrit OCR and an ability to read IAST and Devanagari, and also the ability to parse Sanskrit, and also an ability to bring these texts via OCR into this program as well. It's going to be a whole additional suite of tools that's going to be available here in this tab pane, and there will eventually be one for Sanskrit as well. So once again, it's supposed to be a one-stop shop, and if you want to work with Sanskrit, Tibetan, or And anyways, I'm pretty excited about it, and I'm glad you guys got to see. And thank you for your time and allowing me to share it with you. I hope it wasn't too boring.
So Adam,
Yo,
what about like if I'm a German speaking person and I
well,
load up Geshe Michael translations that have been done into German or Vietnamese or Russian or
you know what?
Ukrainian and
At this point, I don't think it would be horribly difficult to integrate. I would just need to start amassing those language files,
Yeah.
right? And then once I had those language files, it should be as simple as parsing it up via German or French or Chinese or however. And then, yeah, obviously we can have different language versions as well. But it does take a little time. So, um, I just want to get the English version working and I want to get everything formatted. And you'd be amazed at how difficult it is to work with a graphical interface and to try to get it, you know, it needs to be appealing, but also not too appealing. So, working with text and formatting and spacing and everything, it takes a lot of work. Uh, anyways, that's it.
amazing.
Let me just quit sharing this. All right. Dude, I was really close to the camera there, wasn't
Oh, it's a great job. Thank you.
I?
Very,
Yeah.
very cool. A lot of work.
You're telling.
A lot of work and very beautiful. Very, very
Thank you,
beautiful.
Ken.
It's
Thank you,
kind of
dude.
all the screens that I skip around to when I'm doing something. Yeah. All in.
Yeah. Now, that's also
Like a
something
growth.
I wanted to note as well is that as if you translators that are out there and anybody who is here, if you've made note of something that Geshe Michael back in the translator course at Diamond Mountain began to make a list of translation protocols, almost conventions, right? Like translation approaches that Geshe Michael takes to certain things. I'm going to start to try to suss those things out of the translator course and bring those into this so that we can have those as a list of rules to kind of guide us as well. But if there's anything I missed or if there's anything you've heard over the past, is it almost 9 years, going on 10 years now in the translator series? If anybody else has been making note of things that Geshe Michael said along the way about translation, that'd be really incredible to have. Otherwise, it's going to take a lot of work to sift through all the video and audio files.
Oh, yeah.
I would make one suggestion that
Yes, sir.
I was thinking about long, long ago, 20 years ago or something. When the program looks up a word in the dictionary, if there were a routine where it looked up one word and it found it, and then before it displayed that translation, it went to the next syllable in the Tibetan and combined that to what it already had and just look that up. You see what I mean? So your goal,
Okay.
look
Yeah.
up. Your goal is to look up the longest string of syllables you can. So
Yeah.
my dream was a program that looks up the first syllable, finds it.
Mhm.
If it finds it, it adds the next syllable and tries to look up that string.
Yeah.
And when it comes to a syllable to add to the string that is not in the lookup table, it stops and it displays. You see what I mean? So that way you wouldn't get pieces of phrases like paro to chimba, perfection. You wouldn't get pa, father, roll side, too nice, chin, go. It would, the program would try to make a long a string as it could. When it couldn't make any more of a string, it would stop and display the meaning. That's my dream, something like that. See what I mean?
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
totally. I mean, it's just given breaking that down into a set of instructions that I can then,
Yeah.
kind of use to direct toward a compiler towards.
Yeah.
Nick was asking if it searches Unicode, and everything is toggleable into either Unicode or keeping it in ASCII, or we can save RTFs using different formats as well if we want. So
Yeah,
I tried to think of everything, but
yeah.
there's probably things I
What
haven't.
would be really useful is if, again, it looks up the one syllable. If it finds it, it does not display it. It adds the next syllable and tries to see if that's a word. And then it adds the next syllable to try to, and when it comes to a combination of syllables, a string of syllables that doesn't have an equivalent, it retreats. It cuts off the last syllable and goes back to what it knows. You see what I mean? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Be awesome.
I also,
yeah.
I think just give me a second. I kind of think about it when I'm walking around town and doing other stuff. And things come to me. So we'll make it happen. Yeah, I don't think there's anything outside. If you can imagine it, we can kind of make it happen, or at least try.
It's pretty simple. I think it's pretty simple. Add one more syllable until you don't find that string. Retreat to the string you had on the last step, and then don't display until you finish that. Then you don't get pieces of words. By the way, most of the error messages that came up were a misreading of the OCR problems. Yeah. I mean, when it said can't translate, it's because it misunderstood it misinterpreted the picture. And it was rare. It wasn't much, so it's pretty amazing. It's very good work. It has a few bugs. That's not your deal. That's the BDRC OCR. So
well, all that stuff's it's all tweakable, and hope I think as we progress, I'm hopefully I'm gonna send it out, and then once it's deployed, I'll be able to get some feedback, and we'll do some beta tests, and hopefully everybody will kind of tell me what doesn't work, and that
for the rest of your life.
Exactly. Yeah. So and then there was one last thing is over as we move. We've got 6 more minutes, but as we're moving into the catalog class, I was thinking that maybe we could also start to employ some of these same ideas into a cataloging application that would just be used in-house as well, so that we wouldn't have to go all over the place, and we'd have a file browser single, we'd have a file editor, and once again, I think it would just save time, and I think it would also give us the ability for Ben or Nick or Word to add things, but then also do it in contingency upon your approval. And then all that stuff would be waiting, so that if you had 5 minutes, you could go in and approve some things quickly.
No, the catalog is too slow. We will never finish. They are inputting faster than we catalog it. So we'll always be behind. Right now, we're about 10 years behind. So if we could automate the cataloging, that'd be great. And you automate it up to a certain point, then I check it. And it'd be good to use the cataloging class just for me to check things rather than going through all steps, which you could teach.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, let's see if we can get to the homework at least within the next couple of minutes.
Okay, go. I thought you were going to offer the old man 5 minutes to. I'm just kidding.
Was it Kachik?
Okay.
Kachik says that fire and smoke must be related in one of 3 ways. They are cause and effect at the smoke stage, they're cause and effect at the fire stage, or they're not cause and effect at all. So why does KJJ think that all 3 options are problematic?
Yikes. What a thing to do to us after timing us out.
I know it. It's hard for me to switch gears too.
Well, which one of them seems to be okay?
I would say that cause and effect at the smoke stage.
Yeah, once the smoke comes out, you should be able to state correctly the cause and effect with fire and smoke. I don't see why a kid or J would have a problem with the first one.
Because the fire doesn't exist anymore.
Because the fire doesn't exist anymore.
Okay.
I think that's what he says. I'm not just trying to be my normal contrary self.
That's the Garginus problem.
So KJJ points out that every one of these three options creates a problem. But if the fire, I mean, the first one is the least problematic, I think.
Well, no, it's the most problematic.
It's the most problematic, excuse me. Well,
what
I mean,
the-
if you say that they're not cause and effect at all, I mean, right? I mean, that one seems a little bit.
Which
For one
which
thing-
option's more empty?
For
Well,
one, for
yeah,
one thing to affect another, they both have to be present.
It
yeah.
is about what we are assuming when we say that.
Please go ahead, Pei.
Mhm.
If the cause is established at the time the result appear, then we have to ask, is the cause still there at that moment?
At that moment, yeah. Well, then you have to define what a single moment is, right?
Mm.
And I think KJJ starts to stretch, right, what that is in this
Mhm.
next question. So after
Mhm.
criticizing the opponent's way of explaining fire and smoke, KJJ imagines Kachik pushing back and saying, your own view has the exact same problem. And in other words, if KJJ also says that fire and smoke are cause and effect, why doesn't his own view reduce in the same way into a confusion about timing, right?
Mm.
We don't have much time, so oh,
And, and if the cause
Yeah.
is still there, cause and result seem to exist at the same time.
They
If
have
the
to.
cause is already gone, then how can it be the cause at that time?
yeah,
So it is examine the hidden assumption contained in the things or in the word at the time.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, it does. It comes down to how you would define a single moment, right? Smallest particle of time, smallest time slice, right? And can a time slice include both the smoke and the effect of the fire? Excuse me, the fire and the effect being smoke.
Hurry, Adam, 1 minute.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. Some people say if something were a single instant coffee, why does KJ compare this to? So if something were a single instant of the coffee cup's visible form, it would be a working thing. Why does KJ compare this to saying that if something were a rabbit's antlers, it would be a working thing?
Because there's no such thing as a single instant.
And
Yeah,
how
I mean,
can
they would
something
have to
work
be
in a
equivalent.
single instant?
I would say that answer earns Geshe Michael a 15-minute break.
15 minutes. I thought I wanted $15.
$15?
Give right.
A $15 break.
Okay, I'll see you guys in 15 minutes. Is that when we start?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
5 minutes.
Okay, 15 minutes. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank
Ken.
you, Adam. Awesome day.
Thank you, man. Yeah.
We will remember this day. This is the result of 10 years of grandpa's work on your brain. Okay.
It's true. It's
Very
true.
good. Hey.
All right, Ken. Yeah.
Thank you. It was very
See you in 15 minutes, Geshe Michael. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Adam.
夫妻俩结婚5年还生不出孩子，每天的夜间活动也只能当做锻炼身体。
你跳出来说，爱甲讲长不会对你行。
Otherwise, you cannot finish.
要不然的话哦，里面都没有机会出来。
So everyone here going to become a teacher.
反正哦，在场每一个人都要当老师啦。
Then you should know one thing.
那么有一件事情你们必须要知道，
I think 75% of questions
可是75%的问题，
they will ask you,
他们都会问你们，
should I do this or should I do this?
是不是都来问说，哎，我该这么做还是那么做？
Even with their hand, they will say, should I do this or should I do this?
他手上有一笔，我要做这个还是做那个？
Then you have to remember tool number 1.
请记得，第二个， 工具。
They are trying to sell me a yellow and black diamond.
哦，他们要卖给我
The student
黄色的，或是有黑点的钻石。
Then, if you're a good teacher,
如果你一个是好老师，
you have to say, both are bad.
你就说两个都不好，
Just plant the seed.
种种子，
Okay?
好吗？
Don't buy the bad diamond.
不要买那种不好的钻石啦，钻石有个别不好哎。
So I'm giving you last thing tonight.
今天晚上教给各位最后一件事情，
Then we'll stop.
我们就不再讲了。
Very valuable advice.
非常有价值的建议，
Later, you will be a teacher.
因为再来你们要当老师嘛。
We will go together, maybe to Harbin, but also Paris.
我们呢可能会去哈尔滨，但是我们会去巴黎。
And at that time,
在那个时候啊，
any question that the people ask you,
无论谁问你什么样的问题啦，
even if you don't know what to answer,
就算你不知道要怎么回答，
you can say, seeds, plant seeds.
你只要会讲种子、种种子3个字，
And that's a good answer.
就这样，
And that's a correct answer.
真的这是正确的回答。
Okay, good night.
晚
Good night.
安。
Welcome to La Sagrada Familia in Barcelona, Spain. This amazing building is the most visited monument in Spain. It was designed by the famous architect Antoni Gaudí. Started in 1882, it's still under construction. On October 30th of 2025, it became the tallest church in the world. Each one of its outer walls tells a unique and amazing story about the life of Jesus. Sagrada Familia has 3 main facades representing 3 different stages on the life of Jesus. Nacimiento Nativity facade is the one who welcomes visitors nowadays. The inside of Sagrada Familia also has its magic and unique secrets. Antoni Gaudí wanted the place for prayer and connection to be expansive, freeing and heart-opening, and he believed the inner part of the temple should resemble divine creation. That's why he designed this space as a tall forest trees with their canopies touching the clear sky. He believed human creation should not surpass divine creation. That's why he chose 172.5 meters as the height of the building, since the highest mountain in Barcelona, Montjuic, is 177 meters. There is so much meaning to the many elements in the temple, both outside and inside, keeping and telling a unique story, some more open and some much more secret. The next facade we'll talk about is Glory. This facade is not yet finished, but is intended to be the main entrance for visitors once the temple reaches completion. On it, we can find the Lord's Prayer's door, called Portal of Eucharist. It serves at the central door of the Glory facade at the Sagrada Familia. Finally, we have the current exit of the visit, Passion facade, the Passion facade. This one tells the story of how Jesus Christ was crucified and the legacy he left in this world. At the top of the church, each one of its towers holds a deep, unique, and meaningful story as well. There is so much more we could talk about La Sagrada Familia, but instead, I will encourage you to don't miss this must if you ever come and visit Barcelona. In July 2026, AKM gave Peachtree News the great opportunity to assist to their event Heart Sutra 2 in Vienna.
Thank you, Vienna, for this wonderful event.
Спасибо, Вена, за это прекрасное мероприятие.
I'm Juan Jasso, and this is Peachtree World
И
News.
это
We are in Vienna.
мы в Вене. Делаем йогу.
All right, so let's see. Every Monday, every Saturday, Geshe Michael has translation classes.
We shared about multiple organizations and projects. We talked about the set of 4 books of Illumination of the True Thought that Geshe Michael gave them in Malaysia. AKM also present about their projects and upcoming events. And teacher Connie invited everyone to participate on Ripples of Light event for YSI.
There are never no tourists, so it was a little bit too much. This had a secret name.
The trip to Vienna also included an exclusive tour guide with local expert teacher Peter Mortel.
Before this, I lived in Ukraine, became volunteer.
Great interviews with many of their members.
Who was the manager of first course.
Katia Tretiakova.
Yes. New teachers to start new.
And Christina Knop. Evgeny Veliaeva. Vel Kotenko and translator Anna Kutko. The inconfusible Peter Mortel. Marina Szczepaniak. Financial master Ivan Galyusin. Great producer Ina Katinina. Ola Borodienko.
Just got into a situation where actually there are no more places
Max
where we
and
could go
Ira
except where
Zavali.
Vienna was there.
Yeah, but at the same time we have a lot of projects here, a lot of tasks from teachers, and it's a great opportunity to serve teachers in this way because all tasks are very exciting.
And I already did some part because I asked Geshe Michael, look, we were at the end of last year, we were in Arizona and Rimmer.
And of course,
Slowly.
Maria Mortel.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
wow.
Nice, no?
Very nice.
Neptune thing, and we walk up to the Glorieta. Wow.
That happens often in history.
Yeah, exactly. And it was actually a sweet, better view of Vienna from the south, kind of. So at the end there, the mountains, the hills, not the mountains. Central Austria, but those hills, there's wine.
Thank you, Vienna, for this wonderful time and all the kindness and hospitality.
What is that big tower over there?
That's one of the
Hopefully,
many churches
see
in
you
Vienna.
back
Quite
soon.
many times, I don't know where it is. And there's another tower there.
Vienna Tour 2026, unbelievable. We are very honored and very happy to be here with teacher Peter Mortel. Give him a warm clap. Today we're in a very special place next to the Danubio River in Vienna, where teacher Peter and teacher Maria have their apartment, their home. It's very dear to me also. For many years I remember you tell me like, oh, one day you should come to Vienna, you should come to Vienna, you will love it. You were right, I love it, I'm very impressed. Now something very special happened in Malaysia. Teacher Peter Mortel, along with your dear wife, teacher Maria, and 4 more people, you were receivers of this wonderful book, Illumination of the True Thought, one of the biggest masterpieces. Geshe even say the best book ever written about emptiness by the great Jetson Kappa. How you feel about it, and what's the meaning and the vision you have for this event?
Since we came from Malaysia, we did have a big event, but in the meantime, I'm still trying to process. More and more, I'm thinking about this transmission of the books. For me, it's something, it is very much connected to connecting people, to bringing people together. Because Geshe Michael gave us 4 different books to different people, and he said these books, because they're 4 volumes of the same book, they're going to be gluing you together. You have to make sure you're always staying together. So Geshe Michael did it as an act of bringing people together. He also did it publicly. He could like give it to us like somewhere, in his room, in a hotel. but he did it publicly.
And then the second time the book popped up on some level was, I believe, when Geshe Michael finished his translation, he wrote an email, one of his daily emails, and he said, now I'm finished with that translation. Maybe not with the editing and everything, but I'm finished with the translation. And I remember specifically the day, it was the 25th of December 2024, I believe. Because when his email came in, I had just typed the end on writing my first book, The Power of Fear.
Wow.
So I read the end. And then the email from Geshe, like, I was like, wow, that's amazing. Then again, I forgot about it. And so when we came to Malaysia, it was funny because Lindsay came out from the door where Geshe Michael usually comes up on stage, and she gave me a paper slip and she asked me to spell the names of Irina,
yes,
and of Yulia and Evgeny Belaeva. So she wanted me to write it down. I'm like, okay.
Without knowing why. Okay.
You never know.
You thought like they owe her money or something.
You never know.
Majority of our students, they're like half from one country, half from the other country. And suddenly there is this, I mean, they're divided and they're kind of enemies, and it's hard for people. And I think together with Peter, we did like really good job by telling everyone, look, we are not going to be separated. I remember I was like crying. I'm like, I don't want to separate people. I want us to stay together because we have common values. We have, I mean, we have this wisdom. We have many things that unite us. So, and many difficult decisions were made, but I said no. If somebody doesn't like it, you can leave us, but we are not going to be separated. Really?
Yeah,
People were
like
saying,
it.
we are going to leave if you're not. I said, okay.
It's like you can leave, but I'm not leaving you.
Exactly, exactly
Something
that.
like
I said, no, I will do everything I can, everything in my power to stick together.
And then Geshe comes out and he starts to talk and he asks us to come on stage, and I still, you know,
don't know why.
I don't know why. Many times Geshe Michael asked me to come on stage for different reasons. You know, they were standing there, and then he starts to sign the books and gives us the books. You know, and it was very, very. It still is very, to me, very big emotional thing. You're physically not close, but you think you're doing what he taught you to do. That's a little bit the theme for me for the past years. And there's both the constant checking. Do I still believe I'm doing what he told me to do when he sent me away? A little bit like that. And at the same time, there's this longing a little bit to be closer. So, and then that moment when I started to realize that he gives us the book, it felt like a clap on the shoulder.
Exactly, exactly, yes.
He's saying, okay, you're probably doing not such a bad job.
Going in the right direction.
Going
right?
in the right direction.
Sometimes that can be very refreshing.
Yes.
To know.
And so that's one aspect where I'm just really, really happy that I feel that we served his vision, and that makes me super happy.
Yes. People coming together, and I think that's what Geshe kind of acknowledged. Yes, he acknowledged that, he showed that, and he kind of thanked us in a way for that, and also encouraged us to keep doing that, bring people together, which is also, by the way, seeds for a long life of our team.
First of all, thank you for the opportunity to have an interview with the famous Peach Tree Show.
Getting there.